Good morning. We're doing
morning.
this bright and early today. Joanne at Dementia Support Northwest, and we have Dr. Marci Hardy. We are hitting number 5, our final stress management tip, because May was Mental Health Awareness Month. So we have gone over breathing. We have gone over nature, how we can use meditation, and then last week we talked about physical activity and laughter mixed together. So what do you have for our final tip?
So today we're going to talk about the concept of psychological resiliency. And so that's a big fancy word for the idea of what's going on in your brain. What are you thinking about when you're under stress? And that can have a big impact on how you handle and deal with the stress. So I like to break that down into 3 areas, which are self-talk, meaning what are the words that you say to yourself? I like to think of it in terms of perspective, meaning how are you viewing and thinking about the stressor that's happening? And then the third one is gratitude, and that is your perspective on not just the stressor, but your world in general. And so I want to talk a little bit about each one of those, if I can, for a few minutes.
Please.
All right. So first one, self-talk. Those are the words that we say to ourselves. And unfortunately, most of us do not use the nicest self-talk. In fact, we would never talk to other people the way we speak to ourselves. Hopefully you're not wandering around talking out loud to yourself all the time. It's what's going on inside of your brain. And so things to think about with that, people will, especially if you're a caregiver and it's stressful and times are hard, and you'll hear people say, I'm a failure, I'm not doing a good job, I'm not handling this, I can't be enough. And those are destructive ways to think, because you are enough. And the fact that you got out of bed in the morning and you tried is a victory in and of itself. I love to see runners' quotes, because the field of runners, you have all these people who run really fast, and then you have all these people who just move. And the thing that I just love about that is this lady that I know, she said, if I make it from the start line to the finish line, it doesn't matter how long it takes me. And if somebody crawled past me faster, I did it. And so that self-talk, try to keep that message in your brain. Like, if you are doing it and you're living the life, then you're a victor. You've done an amazing job. And so ways to think about that is even just the words that you put to things. So you have an awful day, you have a terrible day, you have a horrendous day. Well, those are really strong words that in and of themselves just provide that pretty negative emotion. Versus, it was a challenging day. And when you can say that, you usually smile at the end when it's like, whew, that was challenging. I made it through it. Wow. So using the way that you're thinking about things and the way you're talking to yourself. So try to frame things in positive. When you hear parents or coaches talk to little kids and they say, I can't do it. And they'll say, oh, no, let's not say can't. Let's say I'm going to try. Trying is the first step to succeeding. So really think about the words you use, reframe your thoughts. When things are challenging and things are difficult, try to put a little bit more positive spin on just the way you talk to yourself.
That can be hard.
It can be hard. The next one in that fits right with it is the idea of perspective. So that's a word that is my mantra in my life. Some of you are aware through my talking that I am a caregiver. I have 2 kiddos who've each had really strong medical needs. My sons are ongoing, and there are days that are really challenging. And one of the things that gets me through is this idea of perspective. And every time I walk into Seattle Children's Hospital, I have a whole new perspective, because even when I think it's hard, it's not. It could be a million times harder. And so I need to really be grateful for the life that I have, and the perspective that, the challenges that come along with it give me new appreciation, new skills I never knew I had, new connections to people that you wouldn't have had otherwise. Those of you who attend Dementia Support Northwest, some of you may have made some of your best friends that you're going to have with you for years because of the situation you're in as a caregiver. And so trying to keep that perspective, I know it's really, really hard having a grandfather who had Alzheimer's disease and watching that progression. It's extremely challenging, but I just encourage you to try to look for that positive in every day. So that idea of perspective of, well, this one was rough, but this is the part that was actually pretty good. Or we did this really well. I executed getting out of bed successfully. Some days, as those of you know who have a hard time or who had mental health challenges, getting out of bed can be really challenging. And so that's your first victory, is if you got up and your feet touched the floor, that's a new perspective.
Yes.
And so that ties into the third one, which is gratitude. And gratitude is finding the things in life that are good and that you can be grateful for. And some days, again, on those challenging days, it may be hard. You might have to look a little bit. And so I encourage people to put together a gratitude routine that you can use to connect with on those particularly hard days. And I like to encourage people to open their day and close their day with a gratitude moment, because it helps with that perspective. And so for me, my mornings, every morning before the kids get up, before I do all of the things that I do really early in the morning, I make myself a cup of hot mint tea. And that is my gratitude moment. It's warm. It feels nice in my hands. I enjoy just the process of making it, holding it, having it be warm, and then drinking it. And I take that like 3 minutes. It's not a lot for myself to just connect with, like, oh, this is good. This is a good start to the day. I know people who journal first thing in the morning. I know some people who stretch first thing in the morning. People who sit and just look out the window first thing in the morning. So finding something that makes sense for you, but starting with a couple of minutes to just be grateful for whatever it is that you can think of that connects with you, whether that's, again, looking at the leaves on a tree, watching a butterfly go by the window, reading scripture if you're religious, writing in your journal, whatever that is that connects to you, to practice that. And then again, to end your day with that gratitude. And again, for a lot of people, that's some sort of bedtime routine that just connects them and calms them back down. And so, I talk to people about, we tuck our kids in at bed, and you read them a story a lot of times, and sometimes you'll talk to them about how their day went, or again, if your family's religious, you'll end the evening in a prayer. So thinking of creating a bedtime routine for yourself as an adult, it helps with your sleep health. Also, it helps your body calm down and recognize it's bedtime, but it also gives you that moment of gratitude. So again, reading a book of inspirational quotes. Maybe it's as simple as you get one of those 365 quotes a day books, and you open it up and you read today's quote and you think about it for a minute, like, how can I connect to that? You close it, and that's your gratitude moment. Or again, the journal, something. But the opportunity to find the good and find that positivity is actually really beneficial for our mental health and our stress management. And when you read online, I'm sure some of you have Googled some of these things, and gratitude is one of the buzzwords that has been out the last couple of years, and that idea of practicing gratitude. So connecting those back together, we have the self-talk, so the words that we say to ourselves as we go through the day, the perspective, when things get challenging, can we find the good in the moment? So can you find the funny? I have to give a quick story because it just popped in my brain. So when my son was little, he was a little guy, I was on the phone with his specialist at the children's hospital across the country trying to get him some help. And we had children locks on all of our cupboards. So that means they shouldn't get into them. He was as close as you and I are to each other. I was madly writing down what the doctor said. And I turned down and looked, and he had picked open the children's lock cupboard, taken the lid off of a thing of vegetable oil, and poured it all over my carpet. So not only was I talking to the doctor, it was kind of stressful, and I'm trying to get information. Little guy's not doing that great, but now my carpet's covered in vegetable oil, and so is my toddler. And at that moment, I had two choices. I could get really upset, not understand what the doctor is saying, be angry, be frustrated, and let stress overwhelm, or I could laugh at the hilarity of what that was. And so that is one of my perspective things. So when you're having a really rough day, I'm telling you this story so you can think of my vegetable oil moment, and in your brain see a little kid doing this with an entire bottle.
Oh gosh.
It was olive oil, so it was green even. It was great. All over off-white carpet in my kitchen. And hopefully that will make you laugh and just let you take a deep breath and collect yourself and start again.
Yep. And that's so huge. It's something that I don't think a lot of people put a whole lot into, thinking that it's that big of a deal, but it really is. I have somebody in one of my support groups who she's just got this air about her where she always finds the funny. Even when she's voicing concerns about her loved one, there's always that little quirkiness where she's actually giggling every time she talks about her issues, and it's authentic, and you can tell that just really helps her work through things. So yeah, I think it's huge.
Finding the beautiful moments and finding the funny are the ways that you get through. And sometimes that means stepping outside of your own life and your own crazy. And, gratitude can also connect to other people. So just letting someone know that you're grateful for them and that they are meaningful and they're helpful, or maybe it's just you're at the grocery store and it's stressful and your loved one's having a hard time and you're in the checkout line and you're watching a family in front of you and they're having a beautiful moment where the kids are actually listening and not throwing things in the cart. And
that happens.
That does. I hear that it does. So, it can even be as simple as sharing your gratitude or your perspective with someone else and say, gosh, what a lovely family. It looks like you're having so much fun.
Yes.
That perspective of stepping away from your crazy and looking at somebody else's and just recognizing and saying, I'm grateful for you and I'm happy for you.
So big, so easy to do, but so hard to do at the same time.
Absolutely.
So I challenge everybody to try to find one thing right now that they're grateful for. And we are going to continue to do this because this is the end of our series for Mental Health Month. But we are going to be bringing some stuff back to the table. So I encourage you guys to maybe leave in the comments if you have something that you would like us to be talking about. And we are going to see a lot more of Dr. Marci Hardy here, and we're very excited.
All right.
So thanks for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody. Put in the comments topics about brain health you'd like to hear more about, and we'll try to cover those.
Hey, thank you.
Talk to you later.
Bye, guys.